Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Bol.
Oh, she's got some there. Hare Krishna, everyone, and welcome. We're going to have a little Bhagavad Gita class, so stay tuned. And we'll begin by singing a song, beautiful song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which describes the spiritual world. It's called Jaya Radha Madhava. So if you know this song, then please sing along. And if you don't know it, then if you just listen carefully while I sing, then you should be able to catch it and respond. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Bhagavad Gita. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. 3.10. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much for the musical accompaniment. So, the verse for today is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 10. So we have it? No. She's going to be putting the verse up there on the board so that you can repeat it. I hope. Yeah? That's not the verse. It's Bhagavad Gita 3.10. 3.10. Otherwise, I'll just go ahead. Should I just go ahead? So I'll start. Yeah. Okay, don't worry about it. I'll just do it. So I'm going to read the Sanskrit a couple of times, and then we'll read the translation and purport, and we'll have a discussion. Saha yagya praja shristva Saha yagya praja shristva Puro vacha prajapati Puro vacha prajapati Anena prasavisyadvam Anena prasavisyadvam Esha vostvishta kamaduk Esha vostvishta kamaduk. Huh? So we'll do the word for word. So saha, along with, yagya, sacrifices, prajaha, generations, shristva, creating, pura, anciently, uvacha, said, prajapati, the Lord of creatures, anena, by this, prasavishyadvam, be more and more prosperous, eshaha, this, vaha, your, astu, let it be, ishta, of all desirable things, kamaduk, bestower. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yagya, sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation." So I'll say this again bit by bit. Please repeat. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yagya, sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation." Sounds very nice, right? Just by doing this little sacrifice, we can get everything desirable and live happily and achieve liberation. So this is a very merciful verse. Let's hear what Srila Prabhupada has to say here in the purport. The material creation by the Lord of creatures, Vishnu, is a chance offered to the conditioned souls to come back home, back to Godhead. All living entities within the material creation are conditioned by material nature because of their forgetfulness of their relationship to Vishnu or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Vedic principles are to help us understand this eternal relation. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedais Chisarver Aham Eva Vedya. The Lord says that the purpose of the Vedas is to understand Him. In the Vedic hymns it is said, Patim Vishvas Yat Meshvaram. Therefore the Lord of the living entities is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, 2.4.20, Srila Shukadev Goswami describes the Lord as Pati in so many ways. Shriya Patir Yagyapati Prajapatir Diyam Patir Lokapatir Darapati Patir Gatis Chandaka Vrishni Sattvatam Prasidatam Me Bhagavan Satam Pati. The Prajapati is Lord Vishnu, and he is the Lord of all living creatures, all worlds, and all beauties, and the protector of everyone. The Lord created this material world to enable the conditioned souls to learn how to perform yagyas, sacrifices, for the satisfaction of Vishnu, so that while in the material world they can live very comfortably, without anxiety, and after finishing the present material body, they can enter into the kingdom of God. That is the whole program for the conditioned soul. By performance of yajna, the conditioned souls gradually become Krishna conscious and become godly in all respects. In the age of Kali, the Sankirtan Yajna, the chanting of the names of God, is recommended by the Vedic scriptures. And this transcendental system was introduced by Lord Chaitanya for the deliverance of all men in this age. Sankirtan Yajna and Krishna consciousness go well together. Lord Krishna, in his devotional form as Lord Chaitanya, is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32 as follows, with specific reference to the Sankirtan Yajna. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishna Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Sumeda Saha. In this age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associates, by performance of Sankirtan Yajna. Other yajnas prescribed in the Vedic literatures are not easy to perform in this age of Kali, but the Sankirtan Yajna is easy and sublime for all purposes, as recommended in Bhagavad Gita also 9.14. So I'll say a little invocation. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. That was great. Let's do it again. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai, we're feeling happy and prosperous already, right? So, Srila Prabhupada is explaining here that the way to be happy is by performing some yajna, performing a sacrifice, sacrificing something. And the idea of sacrifice is that we give up some short-term pleasure for a higher purpose. And we do this anyway. All of us do this anyway, right? If you're a student, then you sacrifice going out and hanging out with your friends or playing some game or doing something because you need to study for your exam. And it's for a higher purpose. It's for the purpose of your education so that you can be successful in life. If you are working, then you sacrifice relaxing at home with family or doing something else that you enjoy to go to work, right? You don't want to go to work, but you make that sacrifice. Why? Because you need to earn some money so that you can maintain your family and provide and fulfill your responsibilities, and that makes you happy. It gives you a sense of satisfaction. So everybody's sacrificing something for some higher purpose. So then what is the highest purpose? The highest purpose is to understand who we are, is to understand who is God and what is our relationship with Him. So the way to understand that, by doing this sacrifice, sacrificing certain things, like all of you have sacrificed other things that you could do today on a nice, beautiful, sunny Sunday to come to the temple. Right, so that shows already that you have good intelligence, right? Good intelligence. And so that's what Krishna is promoting here, is that if we have good intelligence, then we have to do some sacrifice. And the sacrifice for this particular age that we're in, which is called Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, which everywhere we look, we see conflict, right? We see arguments and fighting and tension. And we see hypocrisy, right? We see people saying one thing, doing another, pretending to be something that they're not, promising us that we'll be, that they're going to help us, and then we end up just frustrated. So this is the age that we live in. This is a common situation. Quarrel, conflicts, and cheating. So in this age, everything becomes difficult. It's so difficult just to do the basic things, just to maintain a family, just to pay the bills, just to, keep healthy, keep physically healthy, mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, and maintain nice relationships. Just the basic things that everybody does, or at least is supposed to do, are difficult in this age. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says that this age of Kali is an ocean of faults. So if you're in an ocean of faults, that means there are faults all over, right? It's like if you're in an ocean of water, then everything's going to be wet. You're going to be soaked, right? You fell into an ocean of water. You're all wet. Everything in that ocean is wet. So now we're in an ocean of faults. That means we are going to have faults. Everyone that we see is going to have faults. Everything is full of faults. Everywhere you look, there are faults. So if you see some faults, that's just normal. That's just where we are. Don't be surprised. We're in an ocean of faults. So that's not the surprising thing. But there's something very surprising about this age, very surprising about this ocean of faults. And that is, even though we're in an ocean of faults, there's one amazing good thing. There's one inconceivably good fortune that we have in this age, and that is that simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord, we can be delivered. Simply by doing the Sankirtan Yagya, we can be happy, we can be prosperous, and we can achieve liberation. So that's what Krishna is saying. He's saying here that, and this is Krishna's purpose. He's saying that the Lord created this material world, and He filled it up with human beings and demigods and all other species of life. And He told those human beings and demigods that if you want to be happy, this is what you need to do. You need to do some sacrifice. And the sacrifice in each age, each yuga, is different. So we have to do the right sacrifice according to the age that we live in. And the age of Kali, the sacrifice is Harinam Sankirtan Yagya. That's our yagya, is chanting the holy names of the Lord. So he literally said, be happy by doing this sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable. So it's not just that chanting Hare Krishna is going to give us peace of mind, that it's going to make us spiritually advanced. Of course, that's the most important thing, and it does that very efficiently, very effectively. But it also provides us with all kinds of everything desirable. Whatever we want in life, if you want a good relationship, if you want material success in education, in business, in family, your social position, whatever, just chant Hare Krishna. It will award everything. That's what he's saying here. Be happy because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily in this life, in this world, and achieving liberation. So this is the secret to living a happy life. And many places in the scriptures it talks about how the material world is a place of suffering. Even Krishna says right here in the same book, Dukkhalayam ashashvatam, that it's a temporary, everything here is temporary and full of misery. But he says there's a way that you can be happy, and that's by doing chanting Hare Krishna, doing the Sankirtan Yajna. So this Bhagavad Gita is our manual for how to live in this world. And sometimes they say that, like today I've seen many babies here at the manor, many babies and small children. So sometimes, I have 2 children myself, they're right here, my 2 daughters. And, it's like you give birth to a child, and then it's like, now what, right? Many of you are parents, so you can probably remember when your first child was born, it's kind of like, what do I do, right? Because all of a sudden you're a parent and you have this, child who has a lot of needs, but the baby doesn't come with a manual, right? Every other device you get, every appliance you get, there's always a manual, right? how to operate it, how to turn it on, how to turn it off, how to make it work properly. But when you get a baby, there seems to be no manual, but there actually is a manual. And that manual for babies and children and teenagers and adults and older people, middle-aged people and older people, for every stage of life, whatever your gender is, whatever your race is, whatever anything is, this is the manual, Bhagavad Gita, for how to live happily and be successful, how to use this human body to fulfill the purpose of creation, the purpose for why this world is here, the purpose why we are here. Bhagavad Gita explains it all. So this verse is very important because it's summing it up. And Krishna is presenting it in a way that's very attractive to us. Because he's saying, all right, you came to this world, you got yourself in a material body in the material world, even though you're a spirit soul and this is not where you're meant to be, but let's just make the best use of a bad bargain. And this, if you want to be happy in this lifetime, it's actually possible. This world is a place of suffering, but we can make it good. We can make the best use of it, and we can actually experience happiness even in the material world. Even in a place of suffering, we can find a little happiness. And he says the way to find happiness is through performing Sankirtan, through doing this yajna. So, we just need to chant Hare Krishna. And so how does chanting Hare Krishna fulfill all of our desires? That's a big question, right? You might have that doubt. So, you just have to try it. Just have to try chanting Hare Krishna, not just when you're at the temple, but even when you're at home. So it's something very simple that everybody can do, is that, before you go to work in the morning, or before you go to school, or before you start your household duties, you just sit down for some period of time, the more the better, but even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes, you can get yourself a string of beads, the japa mala, you can get them here at the temple, and you sit, or even without mala, you can just chant. But with the mala, it's nice because you can get yourself into a regulated routine of chanting a certain number of mantras, and it helps to discipline the mind, and it helps us to stick to our sankalpa, stick to our vows. We can make a little New Year's resolution, or a new month's resolution, or a new week's resolution, that I'm going to chant 1 round every morning before going to work or before going to school. And you can also get the whole family to do it together. Then it becomes very powerful. You set aside a time, like let's say 6:30 in the morning, we're all going to meet in the living room. We're going to set up some pictures, or maybe you already have a home altar. We can set up a nice picture of Shri Shri Radha Kulananda, Sitaram, Lakshmana, Hanuman, temple deities, and you put it there on the shelf or on a little altar, and then you all just sit down, you get out your japa mala, and you start off, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. That's called the Pancha Tattva Mantra. And that's calling out for the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda and their associates. Because Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, who has come in the form of a devotee in order to teach us this Yuga Dharma, in order to teach us the sacrifice for the age of Kali, which is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So because he is the teacher, he's also the blesser, right? And so if we can get the blessings of this great teacher, who is Krishna in the form of a teacher, then we can chant really nicely. It helps us to control our mind while we chant. It helps us to get the full blessings and the full power of the holy name when we start by calling out for the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So we can just say that mantra once. Say it again. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. How about you repeat after me? We'll do it bit by bit. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita. Gadadhar. Shrivas Adi. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. And just say that once, and then you can start with your chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You chant one mantra on one bead, and then you go to the next bead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then to the next bead, and then you go around 108 beads like that, and that's one round. And it takes about, depending how fast you are, it might take, very fast is like 6 minutes. A little slow is like 10 minutes. So, you could chant 2 rounds in 15, 20 minutes easy. And then you've done 2 rounds. And that's a good head start on the day. So how many of you here do this already? You chant on the mala. Raise your hand if you do it. So just a few of you. A few of you are doing it. Very good. Congratulations. Give yourselves a little pat on the back for chanting on beads. So this is something very easy that all of you can start. And this is the sacrifice for the age that is advised. And by doing this little sacrifice every morning, you're just sacrificing 15, 20 minutes of your time, chanting 2 rounds. And you're going to see how that is going to be a game changer. It's going to change everything in your life. It's going to make everything better. Because Srila Prabhupada says that material well-being follows spiritual well-being. So chanting Hare Krishna, it's like spiritual food, right? We eat food to nourish the body, and we also need to nourish the soul, because that's who we are, right? We're not these bodies. We're the soul inside the body. So we take good care of this body, this thing that we're not. We need to take care of what we are, right? Who we actually are. Prabhupada tells a story about this old woman, and someone gave her a caged bird as a pet. So she had this bird, like a pretty parakeet or something, and it was in a cage. So every day she was very, very happy with the gift. She was very pleased, and she thought, I'm going to take very good care of this bird in the cage, and the bird's going to be very happy in my home. So every day she would go down and she would get out her, polish and a little cloth, and she would polish the cage very, very nicely until it was shining. And then next day she would get up again and she'd go down and polish the cage. She would clean out the cage, all the bird droppings, and put in some fresh, whatever wood chips or whatever in there. The cage was very clean inside, very clean outside. And so this went on for a couple of weeks. And then one day the woman woke up and she went down to clean her bird cage, and she found out that the bird was dead. So then she called up her friend. She's like, what? I'm so sad. That bird that you gave me, he just keeled over and died. And then, so her friend said, well, weren't you taking care of it? And she said, yes, I was taking care of it, like so carefully. every single day, I was cleaning out the bird droppings. I was putting in the sawdust. I was polishing it till it was shining. It was like new. And then she said, well, what about the bird? And then she said, what about the bird? I mean, I was taking care of the cage and everything. And she said, well, did you feed the bird? What did you feed the bird? And she's like, feed the bird? Somehow she didn't understand that she had to feed the bird. So it sounds silly. It sounds totally daft and absurd, right? But that's what most of us do. Not just with a pet bird, but with our own selves, right? We take very good care of our cage, the cage that we're in. We get up every morning, we clean it, we groom it, we decorate it, we dress it very nicely with clean clothes, and we go out shopping and buy things for it, and we cook, we feed it, but we don't feed the soul. And so the body's looking great, body's fit and healthy, body's well fed and nourished, but the soul is like that bird, just slowly dying, getting weaker and weaker every day. So, and that's who we are, right? This body is something that's just it's a temporary dwelling place, and eventually this body is going to be gone. Right? We're going to leave this body and we're going to go somewhere else. So that somewhere else that we go to depends on how we cultivate our consciousness in this life, how we nourish the soul. So we really need to nourish the soul. And when the soul is nourished, then everything else is fine, right? When the bird is alive, then even if the cage is a little dusty, it's not a huge problem, right? The main thing is the bird. So when spiritually we're doing well, then materially everything is going to fall in place because we're going to be enlivened. Like the self, the true self, our real selves is going to be enlivened. And the other thing is that the process for nourishing the soul is chanting Hare Krishna. And not only does that bring a lot of happiness and peace and satisfaction and empowerment to our lives, but it also pleases Krishna. It makes the Lord very, very happy when we chant His holy names. That's what He wants us to do. Right? So when you're raising children, there are certain things you want them to do, right? Like you want them to make their bed in the morning. You want them to keep their room nice and tidy. You want them to do their household chores. You want them to do their homework nicely. You want them to be respectful to you and to other, family members. And when they do all those things, as a parent, you feel happy. And when you're happy, what do? You bestow all nice things on the child, right? You give so many blessings, you buy them gifts, you give them a lot of hugs and smiles and affection, and you just try to do everything for the good child to be very happy, right? So when we do the things that Krishna wants us to do, which is very simple, just chanting Hare Krishna, then Krishna becomes happy. And He wants to help us in so many ways. He wants to give us gifts and provide things and, make things work out well in our lives and bring us in touch with nice people so that we're well connected, so we have a good support system. And He helps smooth out wrinkles in our relationships. And He does all these things, just like, when the parent's happy with the child, they do everything that they can to help that child be happy. So that's how the process works, is that we do the yajna. We chant Hare Krishna. That helps us, and it also pleases the Lord. So not only we helping ourselves, but we're inducing the Lord to help us as well. And then everything becomes nice. So it's very simple, very logical, right? It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And it's so easy. Like in this age, because like I was saying, in this age of Kali Yuga, everything is so, so difficult. So Krishna is very considerate. He's very thoughtful and helpful. And He's thinking, you know what? These poor people down there in Kali Yuga, they got it tough. Life is rough down there. And I don't want to add to their difficulties by giving them a very complicated process, by making them do all kinds of elaborate rituals that they have to, have so much money to acquire the paraphernalia for, or they have to learn all kinds of complicated routines and procedures and mantras and things like that. I'm going to make it so simple. all they need to learn are these 3 words. They just need to learn 3 words: Hare, Krishna, and Rama. So Hare means the energy of the Lord, the compassionate energy of the Lord, and that is Srimati Radharani. She is the first expansion of Krishna. She's the manifestation, the personification of his compassion, his love, his pleasure-giving potency. So the first word that we say is Hare, because when Srimati Radharani is pleased, then Krishna comes running. So we call it Hare, and then Krishna's like, oh. And then we say Krishna. So then Krishna is receptive to us because we've already said Hare. Now Krishna's already got a very open heart to us. So then when we say Krishna, then he's right there, immediately right there. And Krishna, the name Krishna means all attractive. So Krishna is very attractive. If you think of any quality of an attractive person in this world, you're going to find it in Krishna to the unlimited degree, right? So things that attract us are if a person is very beautiful, if they're very intelligent, if they're a great scholar, a genius, if they're very strong, right? Strong, healthy. If they have a lot of money, right? If somebody's very wealthy, that's an attractive feature. You want to be friends with that person. What else? If somebody's famous, right? If someone's a great celebrity, even if they're not beautiful or something, but if somehow they got to be to celebrity status, they're very attractive. You feel fortunate if you have a relationship with a famous person. And then also if somebody is very renounced, it means they're very detached. They're just very cool, you know? They're not hung up on things. They just... renunciation is an attractive quality. Like here in ISKCON, we have devotees that they'll take a lifelong vow of celibacy, they'll take sannyas, and they'll travel, and and they're very attractive, right? Everybody's attracted by that energy, that energy of just living as a monk, being fully devoted, having no hang-ups, no entanglements, and just being a free agent in the world, roaming around for the benefit of everyone they meet. And so that's very attractive, that renunciation. So Krishna has all of these qualities. And so Krishna is the most attractive person. And the only reason that we're not attracted to Krishna is because either one of 2 things. Either we don't know him well enough, right? Because to know Krishna, he has so many good qualities that the more we know about Krishna, the more we're going to be attracted, the more we're going to love him. The other reason is if we're just so heavily conditioned. We're just so heavily conditioned with, material desires and material attachments. We're just too obsessed with trying to find pleasure through material things that we don't have the headspace for letting Krishna in. There's just no space in our hearts for Krishna. We've kind of blocked it out with our material desires. So chanting Hare Krishna also helps with that, because as we chant, not only does it nourish us, and not only does it get Krishna's attention and his mercy, but it also purifies us. It purifies the heart of all those blockages. It removes them all so that our natural attraction for Krishna will awaken. So Hare and Krishna. And then the other third word or name of the Lord is Rama. So Rama means the reservoir of all pleasure. So we have Lord Ramachandra. So Ram can mean Lord Ram, Sri Ram, Sita Ram. And Ram can also mean Krishna, because Krishna is the source of all pleasure. Like Radha, we have in Vrindavan, there's Radha Raman. Or they say Rameti Krishna, Krishna, the source of all happiness. So when you say Ram, you can think of Lord Ram, or you can think of Krishna. You can also think of Balaram, Krishna's older brother. It's all correct. Whoever you are happier to think of, or it can vary from day to day. But anyways, chant the name of Ram. So these 3 words, Hare, Krishna, and Rama. And then we put them together in a mantra, which is very easy to remember, very easy to say. And it's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And so Krishna made it that simple. Just 3 words. They're very easy to say. They're put together in a mantra that's very catchy. You can chant it. If you're an introverted type, you can just sit in a room by yourself and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you're an extrovert type, you can come to the temple or, invite your friends over to your home and get out the musical instruments and, have a whole song and dance. You can sing and dance and eat and make it a party. Yeah, that's what everyone wants to do. In this material world, everybody, on a Saturday night, they go out and what do? They listen to music, they eat, they dance, they get together with friends, and they party. So, Lord Chaitanya, Krishna knew that in this age of Kali, people just want to party. And so he gave us a process of spiritual life that is a party. Right? Sankirtan party. So we get together in the temple. And what do you do when you come here to Bhaktivedanta Manor on a Sunday? You get together with friends and family. You get together with like-minded people. And you sing, and you dance, and you eat, and you talk. You socialize. You hear about Krishna. You talk about Krishna. And you go away feeling fantastic. Right? So this is spiritual life. It's very easy. It's very enjoyable. Right? Lord Chaitanya, he gave us this, there's a song that glorifies Lord Chaitanya. He says, Parama Karuna, Pahudui Jana, Nitai Gaura Chandra, Saba Avatara, Sarashiramani, Kevala Ananda Kanda. That Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, they gave us a process which is Kevala Ananda Kanda. It's a path which is only joyful. It's Kevala means only, just exclusively. Ananda. Ananda means happiness or bliss. So this path is only blissful. There's no difficulties, no austerities. You don't have to, sit in a ring of fire under the summer sun. You don't have to go meditate in freezing cold water in the winter. You don't have to go to the Himalayas and live in a cave and, withdraw all your senses and, just eat nuts and berries and roots and things found in the forest like they did in bygone ages. We have opulent prasadam. You don't need to leave your family and go off into the forest. You don't need to quit your job and just be a mendicant. None of those things are required. Whatever your position is, just stay where you are, be peaceful, and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just set aside some time in your life, whether it's 15, 20 minutes, whether it's an hour, whatever time you can set aside, and just preferably in the morning before you start your day, because then you start your day off on the best foot, and then everything else goes nicely after that. Right? So just try it and see how it feels, and try to get your friends involved, try to get your family to sit down and chant together, and then it's something that you can share. Because there's a saying that the family that prays together stays together. So we want strong families, we want happy families, and this is the recipe. Krishna is saying, if you want happiness in your life, if you want to achieve everything desirable and be happy in this world, chant Hare Krishna. Do the Sankirtan Yagya. This is the Yagya. This is the sacrifice for this age. And you can live a nice, long, happy life, and at the end you can achieve liberation from this cycle of repeated birth and death, and the soul can go to its happy, eternally happy destination in the spiritual world. So, very simple, very easy. There's no excuse. Please do it. Krishna is saying, be thou happy by this sacrifice of chanting the holy names. So if we're not happy, it's just because we're not chanting enough. That's something to remember. So I'll open it up for questions. We have another 15 minutes. Any questions or thoughts you'd like to share? Feel free to just, any doubts or hesitations. Yes, Subhadra.
You mentioned how by chanting Hare Krishna we can get everything we need, everything desirable.
Yeah, well, the two things go in hand in hand. Because in one sense, Krishna is everything, because everything is Krishna's energy. There's nothing that exists that's not Krishna. So if we know Krishna, we know everything, because in one sense, that's all we need to know, right? And Krishna will bestow all kinds of other knowledge upon us, or he'll help that knowledge to be understood. He'll help us to understand everything that we need to know. So you're asking, why do we study the scriptures, or why do we go to university and get education and training? Both? Yeah. Because, there are certain things that we need to know to perform our material responsibilities, right? But there are two categories of knowledge, right? There's sat and there's asat. So sat means eternal truth, or eternal knowledge, or transcendental knowledge. So we can get all kinds of, we'll realize the eternal or absolute truth by chanting the holy names of the Lord, right? Because Krishna says that Tesham Satate Yuktanam Bhajatam Pritipurvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Upayantite. That to those who are devoted to serving him with love, he gives the intelligence, he gives the understanding by which we can come to him. So just by serving Krishna, just by trying to please the Lord, and the way to please the Lord is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, then all sat, all absolute knowledge, all transcendental knowledge comes to us. Then there's another category of knowledge which is called asat, which is temporary knowledge that has to do with this temporary world. So that we need to study, because Krishna gives us the knowledge that brings us to him. He doesn't necessarily give us all the details of the knowledge that we need to do our work or our careers here in this material world, but he gives us the means to have that knowledge, right? He gives us the intelligence, the brain power to understand that. He gives us the inspiration, the impetus to work. He gives us all of our sensory faculties so that we can, read and hear and learn. So he gives us the means to pursue whatever asat, whatever temporary knowledge we need in this world. He facilitates that. And then spiritual knowledge comes by pleasing the Lord. Yeah. But even the material knowledge, it comes better. Actually, there's a story. I have a story to tell from a friend of mine, that he was at university and he had an exam the next day. So then, and he was already practicing Krishna consciousness. So he was chanting 16 rounds every day. He took that vow. And he had this big exam and he hadn't studied at all. Literally, he was going to fail the exam. And so he was in a big dilemma, because it was getting late in the evening and he hadn't chanted any of his rounds because he'd been in school all day. And so he said, well, I've got 16 rounds to chant and I've got an exam tomorrow which I'm totally unprepared for. I guess he had procrastinated, which is not advisable, but that's what he did. So he said, I can either chant my rounds or I can study. I can't do both. There's just not enough time. So he said, well, I have this vow to study, and ultimately Krishna is the supreme controller. So, you know what? I'm just going to chant my japa. So he went to a park, and he sat down on a park bench, and he got out his beads, and he just sat there, and he just chanted and chanted and chanted. He spent 2 hours chanting, and then as he was just finishing his last round, one of his classmates, who was also taking the exam the next day, rode up on his bicycle and was like, hey, how's it going? You ready for the exam tomorrow? And he said, actually, not at all. I haven't really studied at all, and I'm a little stressed out about it. And then his friend said, he said, oh, well, if you want, I can give you my notes. I made all these really nice study guide notes that I've been using to study, and I've studied, I'm ready, and I'm not going to study anymore because I want to just relax now before the exam. So you can just take my notes and, they might help you. So then he just took the notes and he spent, maybe a half an hour that evening going over the notes, and then another half an hour in the morning going over those notes. And then he went and sat down for the exam. Of course, the notes weren't conclusive. It wasn't everything from, the whole year, but it was some notes. And then he said he went and he sat down and took the exam, and there was nothing on the exam that wasn't in those notes. Out of all the other content that could have been on the exam, there was not a single question that wasn't covered by that student's notes. And he said he passed the exam. He did really well on his exam. So even though Krishna might not directly give us material knowledge for things that we need to know in this world, but he makes arrangements that we will be successful in any way, somehow or other. I'm not saying don't study, just chant Hare Krishna and go into your exam cold. I'm not advising that. But I'm just saying that when we make the effort to please Krishna, when we make the sacrifice, when we set aside our time to try to please Krishna and make that our priority, make that the most important thing we do in our day, then Krishna helps. He helps with everything else because he knows what we need. He knows what's required. And after all, he is God. He's the supreme. He knows everything. He can give us the intelligence. He can give us the knowledge for whatever we need to know. So we have this human form of life. We have this body, and we have the manual for how to use it to make everything good, to how to achieve success. So this human form of life is very valuable, and. If you may get a valuable device, like someone gives you a mobile phone. Let's say you live in some remote village somewhere and you never saw a mobile phone. So somebody gives you a phone and you don't know how to use it and you didn't get the manual. So you might end up just using it to, crack nuts or something, And there's so more capabilities. Your phone has so many more capabilities, but you just use it to crack nuts. So that's kind of like if we don't use this human form of life to realize the absolute truth, to nourish ourselves spiritually, to re-establish our relationship with Krishna, then we're basically using our human body to crack nuts. If we just use it to, earn money, to get a place to live and food to eat, the animals get that easily. But we have this developed intelligence, so we really have to use it. And read the manual and learn how to use this human body to achieve its full potential, to really optimize the opportunities that we have in the human form of life, to achieve the ultimate success. Okay? Yes? There's a mic, yeah. It's coming. Just switch it on. I think it's not on because I can't hear.
Hare Krishna Mataji, how to keep consistency in chanting?
How to keep consistency in chanting? Yeah, good question. So it helps to make, one thing we can do is make a vow, go before the deities here in the temple and tell them that you're going to do it, right? Dear Shri Shri Radhagokulananda, I solemnly declare on this day, the 30th of March, 2025, that starting tomorrow, I am going to chant 1 round every day, at least. And I'm not going to go to sleep until I've done it, or I'm not going to eat breakfast until I've done it, or whatever it is, right? I'm going to chant 1 round. And then that gives us a sense that, all right, I've made this promise to the Lord. And the Lord He's seeing everything, right? He's doesn't miss a beat. So He knows whether we've done it or not. So we're going to have a sense of accountability to the Lord. Another thing is that if you decide that in your family, everybody's going to do this, right? You're going to do this together with your wife, together with your brother, together with your sister, together with your parents, and you get the whole family on board, and you all stand in front of the deity together, and this is what we're going to do. As a family, we're making a commitment to Krishna, to each other, that we really want to nourish ourselves spiritually. We want to make solid progress in life and help each other to be happy and successful in every way. And we're going to do this together. So then, you hold yourselves accountable, right? You ask your wife, did you chant your round yet? Or you call up your brother, did you chant your round yet? Or you can have a WhatsApp group, you can just for your family, and it's your japa accountability WhatsApp group, and everybody has to check in every day. As soon as you finish that one round, I'm done. And then, and then when the next person is done. And then if somebody else, one member of the family didn't do it, then you call them up. You got to do it. If you don't do it today, that means 2 rounds tomorrow. And that way you kind of encourage each other. Right? You encourage each other. And then after you've been doing 1 round every day for some time, then you can be like, you know what? Let's go for 2. I think we can do this. And then you encourage each other to increase, and you move forward together, as a family. And you feel yourself spiritually growing, becoming serious. You feel you're being purified. You start to feel the transformative effects in your life of chanting, how it's helping you, how it's bringing out all the best qualities in you and in your family around you, and you notice them in each other, how it's making you less anxious, less stressed, more confident, more peaceful, more resilient, and everything is just all of a sudden going really well for all of you. And then that will also encourage you to do more and more. Is that helpful? And another thing is to, if you have time, you can also read a little bit every day. Read a little bit from Bhagavad Gita, from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then, as you read, that will give you more inspiration to chant. That gives us the inspiration to keep going. Okay? Or hear something. Hear an online class from a devotee. Okay, a few more minutes. Anything else? So raise your hand if you're going to start chanting 1 round a day in the near future. Those of you who are not chanting already. Anybody who's not chanting already that wants to start chanting 1 round a day? A couple people? Well, please think about it. Please think about it seriously. And just do it as an experiment. Just say, I'm not sure if what they say there at the Hare Krishna temple is really true. How can, just chanting this mantra change your life? I don't really believe it. But just try it. Just do an experiment. Right? Like as George Harrison from the Beatles said, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Right? You might look at a bowl of pudding and think, that doesn't look very good. That looks kind of slimy. That looks whatever, But so you can just stay, depriving yourself of a very tasty preparation because you're doubting, you're hesitating. But then somebody comes along and says, "Look, just eat it," and they get a spoon and put it in your mouth, and you're like, "Wow."